Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is related to polity. Last week I did one editorial related to interim bail given to Arvind Kejriwal. This is regarding the bail not given to Jharkhand former CM. In a way, the editorial tries to compare what I did last week and this one, two different cases, and it takes a particular stand. An interesting editorial. Let us start with the question, what is enrichment? As usual, you improve your comprehension skill, vocabulary, consolidation of grammar, effective English. Mini marks only questions based on comprehension today. If you ask the question, what is this about? This editorial discusses the implications of election time incarceration of political leaders on the democratic process in India. Keywords implications. Implications means what? The consequences, the impact, and of what? Election time incarceration. We have got the word incarceration, we got last week when I did the editorial related to the interim bail given to Arvind Kejriwal. Incarceration means imprisonment of political leaders on the democratic process in India. It is about the impact of incarceration, imprisonment, yes, Vijay Lakshmi, at the time of at general elections. What is the tone? The tone of the editorial is a critical and concerned. Critical and concerned, two important words. Let us start with editorial vocabulary, then we'll go to the editorial analysis. And today's editorial, because last week I did about interim bail given to Arvind Kejriwal, this is about the former CM of Jharkhand, the bail not given to him, comparison, in a way, familiar context. And not too many words, not even 10 words, and many of these words are familiar, easy ones, except one or two. The very first one, last week also we got this word, incarceration, part of speech noun, the state of being confined in prison. But one simple word, what is it? Imprisonment. Synonyms, imprisonment, confinement, detention, custody. When you look at the word detention, it is a noun form. You have to know the verb form. What is the verb form? Detain. Detain is a verb form, detention the noun form. Antonyms, freedom, release, liberty. What is the example sentence? The judge sentenced him to 5 years of incarceration for the crime he committed. Or you can also say apprehend, yes, very good. Detain, wonderful. You can also say imprisonment for the crime he or she committed. Adverse, we have got many a time, part of speech adjective. Preventing success or development, harmful, unfavorable. But generally, when we say adverse, we convey the idea unfavorable. Look at the synonyms: unfavorable, disadvantageous, detrimental. Detrimental, an important word. What does it mean? Detrimental means dangerous or harmful. This is an important word you have to know. Detrimental impact, harmful impact, dangerous impact. Other words are easy words. Antonyms also easy ones. Favorable, beneficial, advantageous. Usually I give the combination adverse report, means what? Negative report. Here we have a new combination. The adverse weather conditions force the cancellation of the outdoor event. Bad weather, usually we cancel the outdoor event. Based on that, adverse weather conditions, we have been forced to cancel the outdoor event. A new combination you have to remember. This is one word we have got, a new word, parity. Usually we use the word disparity. There should not be any disparity when it comes to men and women. Parity means what? Equality. The state or condition of being equal, especially regarding status or pay. This goes more with a workplace. Men, women, same payment, then there is no disparity. and there should always be parity when it comes to gender. Gender parity, an important expression. Gender equality, a simple expression. What are the synonyms here? Equality, equivalence, uniformity, sameness, all simple words. Antonyms: inequality, disparity, imbalance. As I said, disparity is an important word. Not exactly unity, equality is a better word. Antonyms: inequality, disparity, imbalance. The company is committed to ensuring pay parity between men and women. As I said, it goes with men and women at the workplace. Pay parity, gender parity means equality. An important word. Entitled always takes a preposition to. Entitled to something, to have the right or the privilege. Believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privilege or privileges or special treatment. You feel you deserve promotion, then you can say, I'm entitled to a promotion. Means you are deserving. Look at the synonyms: deserving, privileged, authorized, warranted. This is an important word because it has two different meanings. Elite, you can say, based on the privileges, people with special privileges. You all know the word combination arrest warrant. But look at this example: the situation warrants immediate action. What is the meaning? Try to guess the meaning. The situation, very good, Mahesh, I appreciate. The situation warrants immediate action means the situation demands. Here, warrants means what? The situation demands immediate action. Wonderful, I appreciate that. Antonyms: undeserving, unprivileged. You should not get confused between underprivileged, unprivileged. Underprivileged means the backward communities, downtrodden people, poor people, marginalized people. That's a different group altogether. But here, unprivileged means what? Without any special privileges. Look at the example. She felt entitled to a promotion because of a long tenure at the company. Tenure means duration. When we talk about the CM or the PM, we ask the question, how long is the tenure? Means how long is the time period he or she going to be in the post, tenure. That's also an important word. Plea, part of speech noun, meaning a request made in an urgent and emotional manner in law. It goes with everyday English, it goes with effective English, it can also be a legal term. Generally, it means an emotional and urgent request. As a legal term, a formal statement by or on behalf of a defendant. Imagine I file a case against someone. That person has to defend himself or herself. What is the name for that person? Defendant. Guess the name for the person who files a case. Do you know the word for the person who files a case? I filed a case. What is the word for me? That's an important word. Plaintiff, opposite defendant. Plaintiff, very good, Mahesh, again, wonderful. Plaintiff is a word. Busy life, perfect. Synonyms: appeal, request, entreaty, an important word. Petition is a legal term. But here, if you look at the word appeal, appeal has many meanings. One of the meanings, something is appealing means something is attractive. Combinations: appealing dress, appealing style, appealing looks means what? Quite attractive. That's a different meaning, but you have to know that one. Antonyms: demand order. The defendant made a plea of not guilty to the charges. Whenever you think of a case, you have to know the basic words. You should have the basic words at your fingertips. File a case, plaintiff, then defendant, trial, and guilty, convicted, innocent, acquitted, judgment, alibi, evidence, witness. All these are very important. Same thing, it's a legal term. Appeal means to request, but legally speaking. That goes with the quote. That's what I said. Let us go to the next word, laundering. Part of speech noun. Literal meaning of the word launder. It goes with washing, cleansing. That's a literal meaning. But when it comes to money matters, launder means to conceal, to hide. You get money illegally, you try to transfer that money through legal channels, either foreign banks or shell companies or suitcase companies. That is known as money laundering. Both the meanings have been given. The process of concealing the origins of money obtained illegally. You look at the literal meaning, cleansing, washing, when literal, concealing, hiding, when referring to money. In English, there's something called word usage. I always tell students literal meaning is one thing. When it comes to usage, it may have an entirely different meaning. Literal meaning, washing, laundering means. But when it comes to money, hiding or concealing, or transferring illegal money through proper or legal channels, a different meaning. Antonyms, exposing, revealing. When you think of the word hide, what is the opposite of hide? Disclose, reveal, divulge, make public, unveil. All these synonyms should be at your fingertips. Look at the example. He was arrested on charges of money laundering after a lengthy investigation. Charges of money laundering, quite regular, we come across in the newspapers. Stringent goes with the rules, goes with policies, usually rules and regulations, of regulations, requirement, conditions. Not exactly strict, I would rather prefer very strict, stringent rules, not simply strict, very strict rules. Precise, exacting, precise means exact. They are synonyms, but they don't go with this context. Are strict rules exactly, Madhuri. Synonyms, strict, rigorous, an important word. Antonyms, lenient, an important word. Flexible, relaxed. When it comes to rules and regulations, someone we use the word strict, then we say stringent. And opposite, lax, very good, Vijay Lakshmi, lax, lenient, a lenient behavior, not very strict when it comes to rules and regulations. The new regulations are much more stringent than the previous ones, easy to understand. Flee, we got last time also, fled, fled. Flee, fled, fled. What does it mean? To run away from danger. Ramakrishna, why sophisticated here regarding what? Sophisticated goes more with style. Imagine someone is stylish. You can use words like sophisticated, refined, polished, urbane, an important word. Urban, rural, that is different, opposite. But I have just used another word. What is that? I think last year they gave this word in one of the exams. Urbane. Urbane has a different meaning. What does it mean? Stylish, sophisticated, polished, refined, civilized. All these are one group. Let us go to synonyms: escape, runaway, bolt, abscond. Bolt also goes with everyday English. When it comes to a door, we use bolt, bolted. It can be a noun, it can be a verb. As abandon, escape, abscond, not abandon, abscond, escape, run away. Morning, someone used the word, I'm sure you all know this word, but it has elope. Elope also means run away, but run away with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Subtle difference. That is also run away, but you should not stop there. Simply running away from danger, flee, or run away, or abscond, or escape. But here, Bolt from the blue. Very good, Ramakrishna. An important idiom. It came as a bolt from the blue, means unexpected news and shocking. Unexpected, shocking. The assassination of the Prime Minister, former, I'm talking about 1991, the assassination of the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi came as a bolt from the blue. Means no one expected, and it happened all of a sudden. It has a negative connotation usually. Very good, I appreciate that. When the fire alarm sounded, everyone was told to flee the building immediately. Run away from the building, escape from the danger. I guess that is the last word, not even 10 words today, an easy editorial and a familiar one. What is the reason? Last week I did the more or less the same one, granting bail to a political leader, important political leader, against the backdrop of general elections, whether it can be justified or not justified. When it comes to the spirit of democracy, if important leaders at the time of general elections are behind bars or imprisoned, it is not a level playing field. It cannot be justified. On that ground, Arvind Kejriwal got the bail. But when it comes to this one, the present, last week about Arvind Kejriwal, today it is about Hemant Soren, former CM of Jharkhand, hasn't got the bail yet. So the rules should be the same. There's a saying in English, what is it? A rule is a rule for all. But here, some differences. Based on that, editor takes a stand and says whether it can be justified, cannot be justified. What is the stimulus? Crime and time. Crime time, you can say crime and time. On the election time, incarceration. Incarceration, imprisonment at the time of general elections, especially. Flee from the building. Anil, good. What is the main idea? Election time incarceration adversely affects democratic spirit. There's something called democratic spirit. At the time of general elections, important leaders are behind bars or imprisoned. That adversely affects, means what? Makes a negative impact on the spirit of democracy. It talks about that. Election time incarceration adversely affects. Then you have to recollect affect. Which part of speech is it? Obviously, a verb. But if you take the word effect, it can be a verb, it can be a noun. Usually we use it as a noun, effects, impact. It can be used as a verb, but very formal, a written English. This is not the actual idea. Actual idea comparison between the bail given to Arvind Kejriwal and the bail not given to Hemant Soren. In a way, comparison. Let us see how it starts and how it goes about. Any inconsistency in judicial decisions is bound to be seen as unequal application of rules. In my opinion, this is the main idea. When it comes to judicial decisions, they should be based on the principle of parity or the principle of equality, because a rule is a rule for all. But if that is not followed, it is bound to make a negative impact, and the question comes, why for that person, why not for this person? Any inconsistency, decision should be consistent. Any inconsistency in judicial decisions is bound to be seen as unequal application of rules. On the principle of parity, this is what I was talking about. When it comes to the principle of parity, Hemant Soren should also get the bail, because Kejriwal got bail on the condition. On what ground? Bound to means bound to make an impact means definitely going to make an impact. Bound to be seen, it will be seen definitely as something negative. On the principle of parity, former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, who leads the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, is arguably entitled to interim bail. Same principle Arvind Kejriwal got, he should also get. For what purpose? Against the backdrop of general election, for campaigning purpose. To enable him to campaign in his home state for the next phases of the general election from May 20th. When Arvind Kejriwal entitled to get the bail, Hemant Soren also entitled to get the bail. Incumbent CM, former CM, party head. Both deserve interim bail, but Arvind Kejriwal got, Hemant Soren hasn't got yet. Mr. Soren was arrested on January 31st, almost 5 months. It was only last week that the Supreme Court of India underscored, highlighted the importance of the general election to grant bail to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal up to the end of the polls. Only last week I did the editorial. Only last week the Supreme Court highlighted the importance of a key politician when it comes to Arvind Kejriwal, the incumbent CM and party head. 2 states the presence is there. Third one, a key figure when it comes to the opposition group. Based on that, keeping that person behind the bars at the time of general elections cannot be justified. Based on that ground, he got the interim bail. And the Supreme Court highlighted the same thing. Although the opinion was based on the peculiarities of the person in question. Who was the person in question that time? Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal. And the surrounding circumstances, a principle did emerge from that ruling that key leaders could be allowed to campaign in the interest of electoral democracy. A particular thing emerged based on that judgment. A key principle emerged. What emerged that time based on that principle did emerge. You may ask, sir, what is the difference between a principle emerged, past tense, a principle did emerge? This pattern is used for emphasis. Imagine someone asks you, do you like English? For God's sake, don't say no, at least till you get the job. You may say very casually, yes, I like English. But you like English a lot. Then you can say, I do like English. What is the difference between I like English? I do like English. Second one is for emphasis. I saw that. I did see that. Second one is for emphasis. Same thing. A principle did emerge from that ruling that key leaders could be allowed, passive voice, to campaign in the interest of electoral democracy. When it comes to electoral democracy, means related to elections, key leaders at the time of election should not be behind bars and they should be allowed to campaign. However, we use however to present contrasting information. Based on that principle, Kejriwal got the bail, interim bail. But in this case, Hemant Soren hasn't got yet. However, the court chose a position that it first needs to hear the other side, the enforcement directorate in this case. The court wanted to listen to the other party. Who is the other party in this context? One side Hemant Soren, the other side ED. And when it comes to passing an order, definitely the court has to listen to both the parties, especially the prosecution's objection. In the case of Kejriwal, it listened and rejected the stand taken by the center and the stand taken by the ED. However, the court chose a position that it first needs to hear the other side, the enforcement directorate in this case. Even though it favored a hearing in the week beginning May 20, it agreed to an earlier date, May 17. First, it wanted to hear on May 20th, but it preponed May 17th. I've just used one word, prepone, postpone, prepone. This word prepone, Indian origin. Indians have created this word. Postpone, you all know that word. Today, a particular meeting, postpone to some other date. Maybe tomorrow, day after. Prepone, bring to an earlier date. And outside, a few people may say the word prepone is not correct. Please tell them it is correct. Indian origin, it became part of standard English in 1972. Till 1972, it was not part of standard British English. Today, the word prepone is part of standard British English. In 1972, they accepted. Origin, Indian origin. May 17th, agreed. It is indeed a legal requirement that any order of bail can be given only after hearing the prosecution's objections. Obviously, what is a legal requirement? Before granting the bail, the court has to listen to the defendant and also the prosecution's objections. In this case, ED, obviously. When it comes to Kejriwal's case, in Mr. Kejriwal's case, the court heard and rejected. It heard and rejected the argument that freeing a political leader solely for the purpose of canvassing votes during an election will amount to privileging the political class above other categories of people arrested for similar offences. In the case of Kejriwal, what happened? ED argued, the centre argued, if Kejriwal gets interim bail, it looks like the political class is being favoured. But the court heard that, the court rejected based on certain grounds. The Jharkhand High Court did not deliver judgment on the petition challenging Mr. Soren's arrest for 2 months, resulting in a delay in his approaching the Supreme Court. Because the High Court delayed for 2 months, he had to wait till that time, and based on that, he had to go to the Supreme Court. Ultimately, it passed an order dismissing his plea on May 3rd, having reserved its verdict on February 28th. So much delay. February 28th, reserved the verdict. Finally passed the order dismissing his plea on May 3rd. It is true that no two cases are comparable. That's what the editorial has been doing, Kejriwal's case and Hemant Soren's case. And now it takes a stand. No two cases can be compared. Both the cases are different. What are the differences? When you read the next two sentences, you understand. While the Delhi Chief Minister is facing the charge of bribery in exchange for adopting an excise policy favorable to some manufacturers, Mr. Soren is accused of laundering the proceeds of crime in the illegal sale of a parcel of land to acquire property in Ranchi. Different cases. Kejriwal's case is bribery, favoring a few companies related to liquor policy. When it comes to Hemant Soren's case, it is about illegal money, acquiring illegal money that got through illegal sale of a piece of land he wanted to buy in Ranchi. With the prosecution depending mainly on approval statements against Mr. Kejriwal and the agency banking on documentary evidence against Mr. Soren, there's one more difference. What is that? When it comes to Kejriwal's case, there is no evidence as such. ED has depended on the approval statements. Based on that, it gave the summonses to Kejriwal, but Kejriwal did not respond. Based on that, he was arrested. Coming to Hemant Soren, the ED has documentary evidence. That way, both are entirely different. Documentary evidence against Mr. Soren, there may be differences in the respective merits of their cases. When it comes to granting bail to someone, it's a very simple process. They have to sign the bail bonds and there should be some conditions. In the case of Kejriwal also, the Supreme Court put a few conditions. One, should not tamper the evidence. Second, should not flee from justice. And third, should not visit the secretariat, should not visit the CM's office. Editorial says this is a very simple process. With some conditions, the person accused can get the bail. But now it has taken a political color. It is unfortunate that the relatively simple act of releasing the accused against bail bonds with some conditions, with attendant conditions to safeguard evidence and prevent them from fleeing justice, has become politically sensitive. It's a simple thing, but it has become politically sensitive. How does the editorial end? Election time incarceration, which renders the playing field disadvantageous to the affected parties, adversely affects their democratic spirit. Same idea, main idea is being reiterated. Election time incarceration, election time imprisonment, which renders the playing field disadvantageous to the affected parties. The elections, when it comes to elections, it should be level playing field. Means what? Equal chance, equal opportunity to all the parties. But the key leaders are behind bars. Obviously, campaigning of that particular party becomes completely chaotic. Main person is not there, campaigning cannot go in the right direction. It puts that particular party disadvantageous to the affected parties, adversely affects the democratic spirit. This in turn adversely affects the democratic spirit, not a fair play, not level playing field. That's what it says. That's all about the editorial. Let us go to questions based on this to test your comprehension skill. Try to get all the five correct. Read the first one and respond. What is the primary concern of the editorial regarding election time incarceration? Election time incarceration, what is the primary concern? First one to respond, Vijay Lakshmi 1B. The cost of legal proceedings, no. Unequal application of judicial decisions. The length of election campaigns. It's all about the principle of parity. A rule is a rule for all. Based on that, the unequal application of judicial decisions, not acceptable. That is a concern. What principle did the Supreme Court's decision in Arvind Kejriwal's case highlight? A particular principle did emerge. What is that? In the case of Arvind Kejriwal, political leaders should never be arrested. Key leaders can be allowed to campaign in the interest of electoral democracy. When it comes to electoral democracy, key leaders should be allowed at the time of elections for campaigning purpose. Yes, B is the answer. Question number 3. What caused a delay in Hemant Soren's legal proceedings according to the editorial? A backlog of cases in the Supreme Court, Soren's legal team's lack. It seems okay now. Question number 3, C is the answer. A few students have already answered. That's good. What effect does the editorial suggest election time incarceration has on the democratic process? So, what impact does it make? Election time incarceration, what impact does it make on democratic process? It's a negative thing. You cannot choose a positive option. It improves the fairness. It ensures only the most honest. It creates a disadvantage for the affected parties. No, 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 not A. Here it talks about the negative impact of election time incarceration of important leaders. Obviously, that particular party will be in a position where it cannot campaign properly because the key person is missing. It creates a disadvantage for the affected parties. The last question. In the context of the editorial, what is the significance or importance of May 17 date? Mentioned in the editorial, May 17, May 20th. What is the importance of May 17th? It is a deadline for filing nominations? No. It is when the Supreme Court agreed to hear Soren's case earlier than initially planned. Initial plan, May 20th. Later, the Supreme Court agreed to the date May 17th. That is the importance. B is the answer. That's all for today. Today, only questions based on comprehension skill. From tomorrow, as usual, you have questions related to grammar, vocab, effective English. Thanks for being with me till the fag end of the session. Have a nice day. I will see you guys tomorrow. After the session, we'll upload the PDF, try to access and work on important aspects. Thank you very much.